think it's the media of the time, so it's important to work with it because it really is close to what the public opinion says, things, gets, etc. What is new about it? Probably the collapse of time between the event, its distribution, and its archiving, actually. The fact that it's not years later anymore, there's no sedimentation between it, it's all now immediately. The phenomenon itself and the testimony, the tracking, the registration of it.
Yeah, I confirm. We have to react very quickly, and that's the reason why we are working with a network of correspondents in the thematic department of the French National Library, but also colleagues that are local correspondents in the public library in France.
I think the volatility is the fact that it's really not stable is very important because that means that you have to record it. But at the same time, since most of these exchanges are machine monitored and machine produced now and mediated today, it's easy mechanically to register what's going on. The only thing, once again, is that if a headline of a newspaper changes 3 times a day for the same thing, then you need to record it as often as it changes. Otherwise, you're going to lose things in between, and that is going to produce a lot of data, and you need to find your way through that data after that. So the indexing, the way to be able to solicit it and to find what you might be looking for, is really important as well.
Yeah, it's true for a news website, social media, of course, but also for YouTube channels. A YouTuber can decide to cancel some video previously published, for example. So it's important to have all that type of media.
And maybe that's really important too, because oftentimes if producers of something kind of retrieve it or cancel it, that means that something went wrong or something's not due or valid anymore. And evidently that's important or interesting for a historian because that signals that there's something that has been going on that people kind of want to erase or get away from. And that might be interesting. So if you don't have it, then you don't have it. But if you forget the before and the after, it really becomes interesting in that sense. It might even be a way to say, if this has been changed, then it's worth looking at it, actually. If it stays the same page over 10 years, maybe it's not as interesting because nothing happens with it, actually. Well, I think the first one for me that is really important is that it's once and again, probably most of the historian's job is to be aware and to be critical about the sources he's using. What I find really interesting is in the classical setting, I will go to the archivist of an archive and he will give me an inventory, and that's about the interaction I have. That's it. After that, it's the historian's job to see what's in the boxes, to open them, to find or not, etc. And I think the digital archives are really different. I mean, that's why we were sitting here as 2 of us. I think it's really interesting and fascinating to see that all of a sudden you're working with an archivist, with a librarian, trying to figure out, well, what did you collect, can we find that, etc. So there's a real exchange about the source itself. And evidently, I mean, if it's not me who has produced the crawl or the collect, then it's interesting to know how Alexander or his department has done that, to be able to understand what I need critically to know about the corpus of sources to be able to situate it. Otherwise, I don't know who's talking to who and where and what.
So that's why we are providing some documentation about the collection, because this is really important, and also because it's a big data. So of course, data visualization to help researchers to get an overview of the collections. I think it's also important.